Hello and welcome to the Wonder Files. I'm Mary Trainer. I'm your host for this occasion, and it pleases me today we have artist Jeanine Colini with us. And I've known Jeanine ever since I moved to Tucson. She got here a year sooner, so um, on hand when I arrived. So we're going to talk about her work, and we're going to talk about art and what is it, and how to be encouraged to try it for yourself if you haven't had success yet. Um, she hails from New York and moved to, in 1984, moved to Los Angeles to the West Coast and did some commercial clients and industrial uh, clients there as a print designer and with some large companies. I'm sure she may mention them in the course of our talking together. And then she moved to, from there, she moved to Tucson in 2018. And is that right? 2018? Okay,
Yeah, those
very
numbers are
good.
right.
She's got a signature piece of art that she's going to talk to you about. And so without further ado, let's welcome Jeanine Colini. Good
Hello.
morning, Jeanine.
Hi. Thanks for having me here, Mary. I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Sure. So how did I leave something out of your background that you think is essential or
Not really. Basically, I grew up in New York, got educated there. It's a great place to get an art education. Moved to LA in '84, great place to start a business. And was there for a long time until 2018 when I came here, which is a great place to be an artist.
very
So,
good? Well,
yeah,
you have a signature piece, and we
I
can talk
do.
about any part of your work, but I think moving on to something that you developed quite a long time ago, very early in your art explorations about with the alphabet. And
Yes.
let's talk about that. You say you had you had the idea of that or the fascination with that from an early age. So why don't you share that with us?
Okay. Do you want me to show it first or talk
Oh,
first?
let's whatever you wish. Let's do
Okay,
it
I'll give
first
you a little
because
introduction to it, and then I'll screen share it,
okay, super.
and I'll let you know when we want to do that.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I simply don't understand where it comes from, but ever since I was very, very young, I was fascinated with lettering and alphabets, but mostly letters as forms, more visually. Uh, because I'm an artist and not a writer, I am more interested in the look of letters. However, in my design career, I worked with a lot of writers who came from journalism backgrounds, and um, I really like working with writers because it makes my job as a designer easier. So this fascination was is lifelong. It's strange, but and I really have no idea where that came from. But when I got to art school, I went to art school between 78 and graduated in 81. Um, you do a lot of figure drawing, and I didn't study fine art, I studied design, and ended up being a publications designer. So the precursor to all of that is you have an illustration senior level, and you propose a project or a body of work to your instructor, and that they accept it or they don't. And then you set about, in this case, they accepted it, thankfully. And then you set about doing the work, and you check in with the instructor every week for a one-on-one critique. So the piece that Mary is referring to is called A to Zoo, and it is an alphabet comprised of each letter being a different animal. And I did the numbers as well. So it's 36 individual paintings. And this alphabet, the reason I call it a signature piece is because it does represent the thing that I love to do. And not every single piece of my art is a letter or an alphabet. But this one has really been around for a long time. And literally on day one, I graduated in 1981. I guess it was in May. The admissions office had commissioned me to create the covers, which they do at Pratt. It's an art school. They always select an outgoing graduating student to use their art on the cover of the next year's material. So I literally on graduation day delivered that artwork to the admissions office. Then I went out and put my funny hat on and had my graduation. So that's early. I consider that early success. And that piece has been following me around my entire career. It is still one of my most popular sellers in terms of when I sell my art. It's a very nicely applied piece. It exists in a whole line of greeting cards, and the most popular thing is I sell custom names, your name in animal letters. So let me show you the alphabet. Pardon the messy stuff in the background, but
Beautiful. Yes.
so this is A to Zoo. It's not A is for elephant, B is for skunk, C is for dog, D is for armadillo. I didn't approach it like that. I approached it more as a designer, fitting the shapes of animals into the shapes of letter forms.
Hmm.
And that's very much, that's more of a design thing than an art thing. Designers are very cerebral, and this upsets some educators because they want it to be like the H is a horse, but that was an accident, really. And the G is a goose, but that was really not intentional. I wanted to honor the shapes going together at the best time. The most difficult one was the letter N. I kept trying to fit things into the N, and I just couldn't get it to work. So I made the N a snake because a snake could be wrapped into any shape.
Mm-hmm.
But some things lend themselves very naturally, like the V is a rooster. You could see that as a roadrunner with their big tail feathers. The W is a camel. That makes total sense with the humps and the peaks. E was an easy letter because, two legs, four legs, showing two, and a long snoot head of a rhinoceros. And the F was fairly straightforward too, as was the I. So the way penguins stand, they're like this. That's an I. So I look at things out there in the world and I see letters. I see, oh, that looks like it could be a whatever, a J or an O, something big and round. And, the panda has that white tummy. So that makes the hole in the O. It's just perfect. So that's the thinking behind an alphabet design. And I'm going to open up my website because that's where I can show you all in one place.
Sure. Just while you're doing that, can you tell me what is the Q?
What is the Q is a lion.
A lion. Okay.
Yeah, roaring lion. So I have a section on my website called alphabets, oddly enough. And when I take you there, you'll be able to
Yeah.
see here's A to
Yeah.
Zoo. Here's a peek at the numbers.
Yes.
The numbers are beautiful. I had done the letters in the first semester. By the time I got to the numbers, I had already created 26 of these things. So I click to enlarge. The numbers have a finer sort of a little bit more rendered. They're a little bit more sophisticated in a way. They're all great, but my favorite, I do have a favorite in all 36. My favorite is one of the numbers. It is the number 5.
Really? Okay. Tell us why.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why. So, I'm not going to ask you a question. What do you see that's a little bit different about this 5 than about this tiger, number 7? Does anything just pop right to mind?
Uh, no, I would have said my vision is so bad. Let me put on my readers. And now that
Okay.
I'm,
It is not about color or anything like that.
yeah, no, the thing that's, I see the animal, the head up in the corner of the 5, and it
Hmm.
looks like the body is kind of wrapping around.
Yeah.
But when I first saw it, I thought it was maybe a snake. But when I put my
Ah,
readers on, it looked more like something
yeah.
else.
So what I'll say to you is, the more natural the animal can look in its letter or number shapes, the more successful I think it is. And
Okay.
you've got to work with what nature gives you, and the letter forms are letter forms. You can't change what an E looks like or what a 5 looks like. The numbers had challenges because a 5 is kind of like a tough one. So the difference I feel, and this is me as a designer speaking, not as a consumer or anything like that,
Hmm.
between the 5 and say the 7 is the 5, if you turn your head and look at it sideways, it looks like that reindeer is just resting. Maybe he put his head down to the ground to eat something. It has
Okay.
a very natural flow. It doesn't look too convoluted. Whereas the seven is, that this juncture right here,
Uh-huh.
it's his front
Yes.
legs. It's pretty, it works. You can tell it's a tiger. It's a good piece of graphic, but it's a little strange. So, and the same thing with the flamingo. They don't bend that way. That's forcing an animal into a shape. It's
Yeah.
not natural. It doesn't look like it's in pain,
No.
but it's not like the flow that this is. This really
Mhm.
flows. So anyway, that's just that's me as like talking as a designer, and people outside of that realm don't have these thoughts because why would you really? So those are the numbers, and then I also did I want to show you one of the names, and then I'm going to show you this blossomed into I don't have the names in here, but here's a slogan: I love Tucson, made with cactus letters. So
Sure.
of course I had to, uh, living in Tucson, I had to create a cactus alphabet, and so that's very popular in these parts. So there's that, and besides alphabets, I also do um, things like this where I shape uh, things into um, other things. So each state the shape of the state is formed by the letters that spell the state name. So, here's California.
Yes.
Texas was interesting because it's a very large state with only five letters. And then you can't really see it here because they're so tiny, but Massachusetts
Yeah.
is like 13 letters and it's tiny. So it was an interesting, and these Colorado, Wyoming, these very rectangular ones, easy to do, not all that fun. I liked Florida though. This
Yeah.
worked really well for me.
Hmm.
So this is Art of the State. It's very colorful. It also has a print, and also has it was licensed by Home Goods to actually by TJ Maxx owns Home Goods. It became a cheese board, a ceramic cheese board.
Oh.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and they've sold out like immediately. They don't provide artists with samples. So I said about the four or five home goods stores in Pasadena and Glendale where I live in La Cañada. I managed
Hmm.
to find one. And it's the only one I have. My sister in her travels in Connecticut, I always tell my sister she could be a professional shopper. She thinks I'm crazy, but she could. By happenstance and luck, in a thrift store in Connecticut, she found one. That is unbelievable because they didn't print very many. In retail, they
Yeah.
don't repeat. So that's like a little um, tour of how my mind thinks, or how my eyeballs see the world in terms of letter shapes. And it's kind of weird, What sign are you, Mary?
I'm Sagittarius.
Oh, awesome. That's a great sign.
Okay.
Um, there's I did the 12 astrology signs as
Oh,
well.
cool.
Yeah, these are fun. These get less attention. I'm not sure why, but maybe it's a fringe interest, but I use the letters to form part of it, and then I added on other aspects.
Do
A little
people do special orders with you? Is that possible to do I'd like the alphabet with my business card or something for the letters on my business card. I mean, you take
yes,
custom orders. Okay.
yeah. You mean like cactus letters or animal letters?
Yes, and I realize
Yeah,
the smaller they get, undoubtedly that gets to be the more challenging, but
can
something
be.
reasonable, like three initials or something.
Oh, three is fine. I have my original card said art, and my current one, my original one. See, I used the dolphin because my company name starts with a J. It's my
Oh,
first.
yes, very good.
You see it?
Yes.
Um, and there's the J. I had toyed with the idea of doing a cactus version, but I abandoned it because what we originally talked about with this conversation is how Ada Zoo formed, it seemed to form my whole career. Even though I was doing corporate publications for 35 years in Los Angeles, um, I always thought, publications are made up of letters. As I mentioned, I worked with writers. I liked a lot working with writers because I'm not a wish I were a writer kind of thing, but this is a funny story. When I was in high school, I took creative writing, but I also took a lot of design classes, and I thought, yeah, writing could be interesting. And then I ruled it out, and I ruled it out for this reason. If I become a writer, I can't work with music on in the background. And I love to have music on all the time. And I knew if I was doing art, I could have music on. But if I was, anytime I have to write something, even like a letter or anything, I got to turn the music off. It distracts me. So I said, no, no, I think I'll become an artist instead. That's a little tongue in cheek. I mean, art is definitely much more
And
my thing.
in looking at art, and your art in particular, I'm wondering, you mentioned something about the there being something about being in the right place at the right time to have something come together for an idea or to inspire an idea. Right place, right time. Talk about that a bit.
Yeah, right place, right time is I think of in terms of mm, when I was like I said earlier, really in my bio that I happened to grow up in New York and very close to the city. It was the ideal place to get an art education, as we went and saw the museums all the time. And then I went to Los Angeles to visit my cousin, and I was like, oh, I like it out here. So I was 25, I think. And
Hmm.
that's a good time to start a business because you need a lot of energy initially. And so it was a good time to be in California and start a business. And now I'm in my 60s. It's like, well, I'm not retired, I don't see myself retiring, but um, living in Tucson is more laid back. California is pretty crazy sometimes. It's just like I loved it when I was there. It was a little bit more easygoing during the 80s and 90s than it is now, just my opinion. And so I decided to come here because I knew there was a vibrant arts community, and it's just a more easygoing place to live. So that's, in a way, I think of as right place, right time within my lifespan and my career, that I get to live in places that are really suited for what it is that I want to do. The thing with the alphabet is, in art school, you take figure drawing, life drawing, and you're drawing a minimum of 6 to 12 hours a week. Usually the human figure, and sometimes they'll have you do objects, still lifes and trees and things like that. And you can't help when you spend so much time doing that. You can't help but have that influence you. And one day I said, oh, I'm tired of drawing these people. I'm going to go to the zoo and draw animals. It just was a notion that popped into my head. I've always loved animals. I had a coloring book as a kid with animals, and instead of coloring them in, I used to draw clothes on them. I'd put like a vest on it, or a hat, or shoes. Um, so I'm not sure if I'm addressing your question,
I
but
think
it's
so.
just, yeah, it's just the things that I see or come across or do as a kid that influenced this alphabet, which then influenced my more corporate serving career, um, serving the corporate sector, uh, which then turned around and influenced. Okay, here's a right, right place, right time story. COVID, we all had our experience of COVID.
Yes.
And I was living in Tucson. I was in my house, and I was like, and I kept thinking, thank goodness, I got situated because I'm really happy. I feel very safe here, very happy. And so all of a sudden there's this, lockdown. So here I am. I'm sitting at my dining room table, which is where I like to paint. And I said, well, I've been trying to get this cactus alphabet finished, and I guess I have time to do that now because a lot of times my diversion is, oh, go and get coffee. So, so I like to be out and about.
Yeah.
So I sat down at the dining room table. I had my iPhone on, and I was listening to podcasts in the background. And this one popped on, and it was a company called Arts. It is a company called Art Storefronts, and I was listening to their marketing person talk about artists selling on their own website and having their own website, not being part of a marketplace. And I've done in-person events like a lot of people do, and I was thinking, I'm listening as I'm painting this cactus. I'm listening to this guy talking, and I'm like, I stopped painting and I thought, wow, this is exactly what I need. And it just popped into the podcast series, whatever it was I was listening, and I stopped and listened, and I wrote down the name, and I clicked the orange button and I asked for a demo, and that led to me uh, launching my website during COVID. And
Very
they do
good.
all, yeah, that was a definite like bing, like the universe dropping a golden egg in my lap. It was really something. That has been a real boon to my business. And in so many different ways, not just selling online, but having a place like right now that let me go to my website, I can show you all these things. It's a terrific tool, and it really allows you to see your work as like a whole body of work. It's almost like having your own little museum contained in a website.
Mm. Hmm.
So that popping in at that time was remarkable. I also, when I came to Tucson, I seek out music, and a lot of here there's a lot of music in churches, and St. Philip's is one of those places, and I went to hear a concert, a recital in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, and met a fellow who at the time was the on the Friends of Music board, and I ended up asking him about their pamphlet, and I said, "Who does this for you?" Because that's exactly what I do. I didn't say that to him. I said, "Oh, who's doing this for you?" And he did this look at, Mary knows it's Roger. Roger, you know who Roger is?
Hmm. I sure do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a very dear friend, and he's really the first person I met at St. Philip's, and he said, "Well, we're kind of looking for someone." So I said, "Here I am." And so we met, and that's how that piece of business came about, and it's got special meaning to me. So he and I became good friends, and he ended up becoming my sponsor when I was received into that church.
Very good.
So,
And another brilliant example of right place, right time.
oh, yeah, it really was. It was just so, because that later led to a commission from the head rector at the time, Father Robert, to do a whole large series of watercolor paintings selling the Christmas Eve story. That
Beautiful.
was another, what I would call another actually very defining um, piece of a body of work. And
Hmm.
when I launched my website, and they say this, and they don't say it facetiously, they say it in all earnestness, the marketing director, well, how many pieces do I need? An artist wants to take all of their work and spend hours scanning it and getting it ready and launching a site with like 100 pieces. And he said, how many do you need to launch your site? One piece. That's all you need. Well, I took them at their word, and I literally had 3 pieces when I launched my site: A to Z letters, A to Z numbers, and art of the state. And that was it. Um, because of the duration of time it takes to create a piece like that, it's really 26 individual paintings.
Do you
Uh,
do quite a bit of sales or at least contacts through your website now? Is that kind of the dominant resource for you?
No, local selling is still the dominant resource, but the website is a masterful tool for me too. It's almost like a meeting place for people that want to come and look at my, like I did the open studios this weekend. I was set up on my back patio for 3 days and it looked really nice. It was a lot of work. And there was stuff that I show in person that's not on my site, and there's stuff that's on my site that I don't show in person. But I can point people to this. There, give you a good example. There was a lady who wanted to come but couldn't. She went and looked at my website. She couldn't come because she had COVID. And so she calls me, and she was so nice and so personable. And she ended up, you know, telling me about a storybook she read as a child and she really loved. And the main character was a cactus wren. So I was like, well, that's interesting. I happen to have a drawing of a cactus wren, and here he is.
Yeah.
And that was one of a series of five, and it was one of two that wasn't sold. And here she is. I think I created him in about, I don't know, 4 years ago. So what I wanted to say was, he's so cute. He's
It's
pastel.
cute.
Yeah,
Very
I
cute.
do some pastel work. I'm primarily a watercolor painter, but I also do pastel. And then she continues to tell me more about this storybook, and she said the other character was, of course, a roadrunner would be there, and a hummingbird. And the Roadrunner is also in somebody else's possession because they bought it. And this hummingbird, I have the original, so she ended up buying both of these originals. And what a bizarre coincidence that was. I always think, coincidence? Maybe not, you know?
Yes, absolutely. So,
Yeah. And I'm
um,
not in charge of that, you know. I'm in
no,
charge of picking up the phone, talking to her, asking her the right question, just saying, "Hey, I've got those two pieces still." But somebody else put that in my path, in her path to call me. And I don't, that's the part that's the wonder and the magic. That's why I say right place, right time.
right.
Um, I don't really know how that comes about, but I just trust that that's the universe kind of looking out for me. That's what I believe.
Do you, it seems like I remember something about doing illustrations for a book, a children's book perhaps, or because that seems
Yes, that
natural
was the
for the alphabet.
yeah, that was a project that never actually came to fruition.
Oh,
I did do all the illustrations, but I had a kind of a uncomfortable relationship with this writer, and without getting into the gory details, I said, I think I'm gonna walk away from this.
okay.
Um, yeah, it was sometimes you do that, and as you get older, you're more willing to do it because it's like this is an untenable situation, and this is really kind of crossing a boundary for me. So I've decided that I'm not gonna pursue
That's
it.
a good thing to teach too, and by teaching by doing really is this idea of the ability to walk away, especially with something that's part of a creative process within you. You don't want to violate that.
Oh, when it doesn't, when it's not feeling right.
Hmm.
There's this thing, and also kind of call it flow, when everything just seems to be falling into place. We have days like that. Everything falls into place. It's nice. You have a good day. And then there's other days where you're banging your head against the wall constantly and the computer's fighting with you. And it's like sometimes I just like, now I am going to go out for coffee because I think I need to get away from all these annoying things that are going on. That's like a day where you're just nothing's going right. But I have a good intuition, and as I've gotten older, I've learned to listen to it because sometimes we think like we know the feeling and the intuition, but we're like, yeah, but I think this should work. This should work. And but it doesn't. So for whatever reason, as I've gotten older, I'm very willing to listen to the intuition part. And sometimes you just have a sense, I don't think this is a good thing to get involved with. And but you develop that when you deal with corporate clients, I'll tell you.
You do some work too in the community. I remember attending one at St. Philip's where you did a drawing class, no experience needed or required or probably preferred, but and the interest in that was surprisingly large. I mean, it was people who had in the middle of the summer coming to sit
Yes.
down and wanting to draw the elephant and whatever else. Are you
Yeah, it was
broadening that out now, right?
yes, definitely. So my thing with, and if you recall, Mary, the one thing I mentioned about that particular class was I really wanted to gear it for adults. Nothing against kids, they're great to teach. They're kind of fearless. But the reason I like to gear for adults is because if you've gotten to a certain point in your life and you've thought about, maybe I'll try some art or maybe I won't. A lot of times adults have had many years of being able to cultivate the fear of failure or I can't do this kind of thing or the intimidation. And
Right.
I really want to for anyone, they've got to be willing to take that first step though. For anyone who is, I really want to demonstrate to them, you can do this. Not necessarily, some people do have innate abilities, but this idea of talent is to me, it's kind of a myth. The talent comes from working very hard and being very dedicated to a craft that, yes, you do have to have some kind of affinity going in, but when I got to Pratt, like when I was in high school, I went to public high school and taught a lot of classes. I mean, not took a lot of design and art classes, and I was, pretty much the top 10% in those classes because who do they put in art classes? Oftentimes the kids they're not going to put in chemistry and things because they're going to not do as well. So a lot of those kids are troublemakers too. So you're not creating in a very serious environment. So it's easy to be in the top 10% there. But I did good. I took my stuff seriously. When I got to Pratt, it was like an art school. Oh my God. I was probably in the bottom 25%. I was so like, oh, they're gonna make me work really hard here. Um, so I learned in a good environment. And so I bring that to my work as an instructor. And I don't ever bang anyone over the head. It's like they're there voluntarily and they're there because they want to learn something. And a good majority of the people that are in my classes are they're seniors because Tucson is that kind of community.
Hmm.
And I have a contract with the Pima County Library, 27 branches, a lot of opportunity. I teach there. They'll book me, a librarian will see my classes on their roster and they'll book me. And it's a delight to go and, see who shows up. And sometimes I have a small class of 6 or 8. And then sometimes I'll have the max I can have is 15. And it's just a wonderful thing to watch somebody come in who had never done a drawing and to give them this sort of guided approach, a very basic, step by step. And a lot of artists have those kind of step by step things and come away with something. One of my lessons was a road runner. They
Hmm.
come away with something just in graphite, just in pencil, that they're really excited that they actually did this thing. And some of them do some pretty nice things, and some of them it's very rudimentary. But now they've broken down the fear barrier. And
Right.
if they wanna, I said, if you enjoyed this class, go and get yourself a sketch pad. You can get a number 2 pencil with an eraser on it, or you can be real fancy and go to the art store and get some 2H, 2B pencils and a sharpener and some drawing pad and just sit down and decide, oh, I'm going to draw this today. And I had somebody take a painting class who had taken one of my drawing classes. I've had people who took a painting class at the Oro Valley Library sign up for a 4-part beginning drawing series that I'm going to be teaching up in Saddlebrook. And I don't live near Saddlebrook. It's kind of a ways, but I'm really excited to be able to teach a 4-part class. So that's 12 hours, 3-hour sessions times four Wednesdays. And um, the people that sign up there are very interested in the arts because Saddlebrook is a community that has a lot of artists and they have an art center. and I'm not a member because I'm not a resident, but they were looking for someone to teach drawing, and I'm like, here I am, like the music for sure. Here I
Yeah.
am. The right
Excellent.
place, right time. And I met this artist named Teresa who lives there, who said, they used to have a drawing teacher, and he recently moved, and they're really looking for that. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So I'll drive 45 minutes and go up there.
Yeah, right place, right time. And you cooperate. I feel when that happens to anyone, and you in this case, it's you need to kind of cooperate with the universe or whatever we're calling
Mm.
that movement within us that says, hey, this might be for you.
Yeah, yeah. And resist the thing that says, oh, I have to drive 45 minutes. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great, So, it's actually a very beautiful drive because you're driving along the
Yeah,
mountains.
I bet it is.
Yeah, it's nice. So
I
that's
think
okay.
that's about our time for today, Janine. This has been
Okay.
fascinating. And do you have now they know how to get a hold of you. Your website is
Yeah. Let me,
you
I
want to
can,
listen that an email and your website. That might be good. And I'm going to try to get it
sure.
on the video as well.
That'd be great. The beauty of my, this is another right place, right time story. My website address is four letters. JCDA stands for Jeanine Colini Design Art. And what's really awesome about .com, it's easy to remember, but way back when I've had that URL for when they first started giving out URLs, a friend called me and said, "Hey, grab this up because people they're going like hotcakes." And I took him up on his advice and I grabbed it up, and it's been my
Yes,
URL since the beginning. It's the only one I've ever really had.
very
So it's
good.
jcda.com and
Janine at jcda.com.
com.
Very good.
Another thing I'll mention for anyone who's active on Instagram, I do a lot of fun videos and reels and how-tos and things like that. And I post a lot on Instagram. So
Very
that
good.
would be, as social media goes, that would be the preferred platform. They simultaneously post on my Facebook business page, but I'm just more kind of connected with Instagram. But I have a presence on both. And Instagram, it's just Jeanine Colini. That's it. And
Janine
then
Colini. Okay, I'm going
Jeanine
to write
Colini.
that down
And
for me. When it
Facebook
goes.
business page is the full company name, Jeanine Colini Design Art. And that's how you would find me on Facebook as
Thank you
well.
so much for being with us
Yeah.
today, Janine.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I
Oh, you're
really
very welcome. We'll
appreciate
have
it.
you back at some point in the
Oh,
future.
that would
And
be
audience,
awesome.
we're so grateful for you being out there today, listening and looking at Janine's art and uh, understanding how much of success in life is about right place, right time, and saying yes to possibilities. Um,
Absolutely.
and until then, just keep wondering.